So Zachary Zane is a Brooklyn-based author, sex columnist, and one of the most prominent voices in modern sex culture.
Well, that's kind of AI.
His memoir, Boy Slut, a Memoir and Manifesto, was a 2024 Lambda Literary Award finalist, and Dan Savage, the godfather of sex advice, blurbed the book, calling him one of the best sex writers working today. His past columns include Sexplain It, the sex and relationship advice column at Men's Health, and Navigating Non-Monogamy at Cosmopolitan. His essays have appeared in the New York Times, Rolling Stone, The Washington Post, GQ, and Playboy. What haven't you done? My God.
AI is being very generous to me. I enjoy it.
AI loves you. He's also the founder and editor-in-chief of the Boy Slut zine, which publishes nonfiction and fiction erotica from kinksters around the world.
Please submit. I pay $100 for an accepted piece and always want unique, diverse voices. So
Yours
please.
truly might have a piece in there. Also, I think I got $150, but well.
Oh, it's because you guys started unsubscribing from when it used to be $250, and then I lost like 300 paid subscribers. I went down by like 40%, and I was like, well, now you get 100. Sorry, guys.
Oh, we need more love for the artist. But here's what makes Zach's story so fascinating for this room. He never planned to be a writer. He was working as a smoking cessation researcher when he published his first personal essay about being bisexual and unable to date anyone, gay or straight, and it went viral. That single piece launched a career that's now spanned over 1,000 articles, 2 books, the 2016 bisexual White House briefing, and I didn't know that was a thing. And
well, it's not a thing anymore, but it was under Obama. Yeah.
And a cultural movement around bisexual visibility that didn't exist a decade ago.
Thank you, AI. Thank you, ChatGPT.
Thank you, Claude.
Yeah.
He grew up in LA in a liberal, sex-positive Jewish family with gay uncles on both sides and still couldn't escape the sexual shame that society buried in him as a kid. He battled severe OCD, spent 5 years of college closeted and binge drinking before coming out, and turned all of that pain into what might be the funniest, most honest book about sex and identity you will ever read. Tonight, we're going to Claude loves you.
I would date him. Yeah. All right.
Is he single? Tonight, we're going to talk about the craft of writing. Whatever. Anyway, so I mean, it's just AI stuff. So
slop.
all of that. But I love Zach because, like, from the moment we met, he was just so charming, kind, engaging. Offered to he was so more advanced in his writing career than I was, and he immediately offered to help me. And I read his work, and I was so inspired that I wrote a sexual piece for the first time ever. And
it was great.
Thank you.
Because that's a different skill set than traditional writing, for sure. You killed it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and also I love being subscribed to the Boy Slut zine because I actually did it. I subscribed back when I was in my hedge fund days, and I did it to my work email. So I would get emails candidate from Balyazni, as per my last email. And then I just came in this guy's mouth.
So I should say the Boy Slut zine, I pride myself in having salacious titles.
And they're so good.
And they're really, everyone's like, it's clickbait. I go, well, clickbait is different. Clickbait is when you're hiding something. You're saying check out slide number 9. I'm the opposite of clickbait. I'm telling you exactly what happens. It's just so entertaining and salacious, you want to click.
Okay, so yeah, again, please welcome Zachary Zane. Yeah, take a drink. All right, so for the origin story, your book opens with a really disarming first chapter. You're 10 years old, sitting in your therapist's office, and you can't stop imagining him naked. You had severe OCD as a kid, and for people who can't know what that actually looks like, can you take us back to what was happening inside your head?
Yeah, I think there's a misconception about OCD where it's just all about cleanliness, and that is one aspect of OCD, right? So OCD you have obsessions and compulsions. That's where the name comes from. The obsessions start you in a really bad thought loop that you cannot break out of. I think regardless of if you had OCD, we've all been in a place where we're obsessing. The type of OCD that I had, I did not know this till years later, is called moral scrupulous OCD. And it's specifically a subset of OCD where you're obsessed about being a good person. And the issue with that is when you're 10, 8, 9, you don't have a value set for yourself. So you don't know what it means to be a good person. So you kind of soak in messages from everywhere else. So I had all the sex negativity that I soaked up. So I'm imagining people naked. I can't stop it. I think I'm a bad person. I remember my parents, I don't remember this, but I was calling my mom to kind of fact check me while writing the book. And it became very clear that everyone has a different memory of what happened. So just go with yours. But she was like, we had a punishment chair and we had to get rid of it because you're 4 or 5 years old. You would be in the punishment chair crying. And my mom would be like, you didn't do anything. What are you doing? I said, I did something terrible. I did something so bad. I can't even say what it was. And I'm just crying in this chair. And mom's like, all right, we're getting rid of this chair. But so for me, and one of the things were later in life that really helped me with my specific OCD was actually having a really sense of values. Like, I don't think being slutty is wrong. I don't think imagining people naked is wrong. I don't think non-monogamy is wrong. All these desires and urges that I thought were quote unquote bad because society told me that, then kind of morphed into OCD. So when I was able to create a value set kind of for myself, and then I could be like, oh, does this coincide with my values? What I think is good, what I think is bad? That was really helpful in me overcoming my OCD. But that wasn't something I learned from therapists. That was something I kind of had to learn on my own. And I wish therapists did teach me this because they would be like, oh, that's not bad. And I'd be like, well, no, it is bad. I wish a therapist had said, let's talk about what a good person means to you. And then once I have that, I was really able to help and overcome it. I still have OCD. It's not like it disappears. But yeah, I think for me, it just manifested a little bit differently. Did I still do the hand washing thing? Yes. Was it difficult to leave my home because I would go back and make sure the front door was checked? Yes. Did I have trouble sleeping because I would check to make sure the alarm clock was on repeatedly? It's so funny. OCD is such a hard thing to have as a kid because you have no fucking skills to battle something like this because you're a fucking kid. As you get older and learn these skills, I think it is something that you can learn to live with in a more manageable way. But fuck, as a kid, it was fucking miserable. That was the truth of it. Yeah.
Weirdly enough, I actually realized like recently that I had OCD as a kid too. I grew up in Texas and also had like a lot of shame and stuff around sex, but I also grew up as a gymnast and like that's scary as shit. And I would do all this weird stuff. I would have to like tap my legs. And if I didn't do that, I would fall on the beam or something like, yeah, so I get it. It's not.
It's just like, it's so, I think what was frustrating for me is I knew what I was thinking often the time was illogical, or what I was doing was illogical. I knew I should not have to check my alarm clock 50 times to go to sleep to make sure it's on, but you can't stop. So you feel like you have no control over your body, your behavior, your actions, and then that leads to self-loathing, where it's just like, I know logically I shouldn't be fucking doing this. And that's different than other people's OCD. Some people genuinely believe if I don't wash my hands, if I don't tap my foot, I'm going to die. I knew logically that wasn't the case, but I could not stop. And so it just made it, I think the self-loathing and the shame and the frustration with not having control when you logically believe something and still can't act on it was really hard for me. Yeah.
100%. Let's get out of the OCD world let's go to something fun.
What I'll say was the reason why I brought up OCD in the beginning was I spoke about why did I have OCD around sexual shame, specifically about imagining people naked. So that's kind of the tie-in. And I kind of talk about how even though I grew up in this sex-positive liberal Jewish family, sex negativity is so insidious, it is so pervasive. You pick it up from your teachers, the media, your friends, everything. So unless if you live in a poly community nudist colony bubble where you don't interact with the world, everyone picks up on it. And for me, it was important to tell my story because a lot of the memoirs I've read is often like a little gay boy from the South and a pastor kid who had all this shame from his family. And that never resonated with me. That's an important story, but I was like, wait a minute, what's my excuse? What's my excuse for being so sex negative and having this shame? Because they had a clear excuse. You had a pastor as a dad, you had this group in a Christian background, I didn't. So I was kind of looking for an answer as to why did my OCD manifest in sex negativity and sexual shame? And the answer is because of the fucking world. Yep. That's the reason.
Y'all, his book, his memoir is amazing. Like, it goes so into, like, he's so vulnerable in it, and like about his kinks, and
Oh boy.
I remember our talk whenever you put the book out and you were like, okay, I'm freaking out.
I
said this shit.
I thought that was going to be what people got pissed off about. They got pissed off about it completely different. I was like, well, there you go. It's never what you think.
But yeah, to that point, it's really incredible how vulnerable you are with this stuff, because it helps other people be vulnerable as well.
Yeah.
And realize that it is okay and it's not a terrible thing to want some weird stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
Starting freshman year at Vassar, you spent about 5 years getting blackout drunk and hooking up with men.
Sure did.
While also dating women, before anyone said the word bisexual to you in a way that felt real. You said you Googled bi man in college, and the only results were about HIV statistics.
Specifically bi men having and spreading HIV. So I literally am like, if I embrace this identity, I'm going to get AIDS and die. That is where my brain went. So not helpful.
No. So what does it mean, or what does it do to a person when they literally can't find themselves represented anywhere?
I think representation and visibility is extremely important. But I do have a caveat to that I do want to explain in a bit. But like, I think for me, so much of shame is able to be pervasive, or you can't figure yourself out if you don't see yourself represented. And that's like an obvious sentiment. But I also think it's for the majority group to know that we exist, right? You look at all the studies about, hey, you're significantly less likely to be transphobic if you have a trans friend, if you are aware of this. So I think in addition to the minority group, in this case bisexuality, like being like, oh, I'm real, I exist, I don't need to have shame, it's also helpful in that regard. So I think visibility and representation is huge. I think it makes us feel less alone. I think it makes other people discriminate against us less. That's one factor. The second factor is it's not a panacea. And that is something I've been really frustrated with regarding the bisexual movement, where I wrote a piece for Cosmo a few years back, and it was titled, What Comes After Bi Visibility? And I interviewed very prominent bisexual activists, and they did not have an answer. They kept on being like, well, we still need more visibility. And I'm like, visibility is great. We're pretty fucking visible these days. You go on Twitter, you go on Instagram, like you look at every fucking TV show they're putting in a bi person. I fucking love it. But this idea that visibility is going to solve all of our problems. No, visibility and representation is the first step. It is the first step. It is the bare minimum in us being seen, accepted. And I think it's really important, especially now as movements, minority movements gain more steam, to be like, okay, what comes after this? Because Lord knows there's so much LGBT visibility, and there are plenty of fucking homophobes. That didn't solve everything. Yeah, it maybe help people realize it's okay to be gay, but it's not solving every issue. So I'm really interested in, yes, we need representation, we need visibility, but what is the next step? And we'll talk more about this, but I think the next step is fostering community, which is what you're doing great. And I think shame and insecurity and all of that really thrives in isolation. When you think you're the only one who does this, you're the only person with this kink, you're the only one who wants to be non-monogamous, you're the only one that wants to sleep with people of all genders, it's very easy to feel shame, to isolate, to not be able to act on it. When you were surrounded by other like-minded people, when I say my most disgusting kink and they just go, hot, that's it. Or cool, I'm happy for you. I don't want to have to explain it, I don't have to do it, but just in a way of, yeah, you don't have to fucking always be active and voicing every single, someone just intuitively understands you. There's such a beauty to that. So I'm really interested in fostering in-person communities for bi people and everyone, because right now the community we have for bisexuals specifically is very digital. It's very Reddit, it's very Instagram, it's very that. And I was like, it doesn't need to be support group. I don't want that. It's like, let's go rock climbing. Bi people fucking love that shit. I don't, but they fucking do. Non-monogamy people love rock climbing. Okay, fine. So it was interesting. Yes, representation, visibility is crucial. When I was able to see bisexual visibility, it helped me be bi and embrace it. But yeah, it's the first step, I would argue. Okay,
so we've got a lot of creative people in this room. So this is like a very cool part of your story. You were a smoking cessation researcher, and you wrote one personal essay for Exojane. It happened to me. I came out as bi and can't date anyone, gay or straight, and it went viral. And you accidentally became a writer. So Take us inside that moment. Like, what happened after you hit publish?
So the reason why I wrote that article was so I was at my job. I worked at Smoking Cessation Research and Counseling. I was at Harvard Medical Center. And I tell my boss, I'm like, I'm only working 20 hours a week. You got to put me on a new study. And she goes, no, when the patients need you, they really need you. I'm okay with you not working. Just like putz around at your desk. I'm like, okay. But still, it was not a great look to just be on Facebook all day. So I actually wrote an entire novel because I was so bored. It is terrible. It will never see the light of day. It's offensive too. Like, I don't even know what I was thinking. But my sister-in-law, who's a writer, was like, Zach, you have to, in order to get an agent, you have to like write for magazines and get something published. So I did this in order to get this book sold. Again, gonna burn it down. But like, and at the time, it was really the highlight, the era of first-person essays. And I always call it like the commodification of first-person identity, where these sites would give you $50 for you to share the most traumatic thing about yourself. And then that's it. And it's just like, oh, this is going to trigger me for life because this is now out here. But I knew then I had to write something personal. And the piece I wrote was about how when I came out as bi, I really thought the world was going to be my oyster. And like, yeah, women would date me, guys would date me. Women didn't want to date me. They were afraid I was going to leave them for a man, closeted gay. Gay men were extremely pedantic. They were just like, oh, honey, I was bi too, you'll get there. And then they try to kiss me, and I go, don't fucking kiss me, don't touch me, go fuck yourself. Also, like, how myopic a perspective to be like, just because I identified as bi and used it as a stepping stone, therefore every single person does. So then I fell in love with a bi woman, and it was just fucking incredible to be seen, to be able to be like, oh, that guy's hot, that girl's hot, to having this, and we were monogamous, so it wasn't even like we were acting on this. And so that was the piece I wrote about that and how having a bi partner really changed my life and my perspective on dating. And yeah, I think it got like 50,000 shares within the first like 24 hours, so whatever that is, 200,000 views. And everyone was reaching out to me. And at the time when I started writing, there was really a dearth of bi content. The bi content that was out was like 10 things to never say to a bisexual person, 10 this about bisexuality. It was articles catered towards gay and straight people to convince them we exist. I'm like, that doesn't help bi people. Like, what about the actual problems that bisexual people face in terms of dating, in terms of when to come out, when can you call yourself bi, the intersection of bisexuality and non-monogamy? And it became very clear to me there is a need for this. There really is a need for this. Bi content for bi people. People are struggling with this, and I really leaned into it and wrote as much. At the time I was writing only bisexual content. Since then it kind of diverged to, okay, let me write about queer men. Let me write about all of the LGBTQ community. Let me write about all sex and relationships. But that was a progression over years in order to not be pigeonholed. But I did not expect this feedback. I was planning to just write a couple articles to then get an agent. I was like, let me ride this nonfiction wave, see how long it goes writing this. It was like 10 years. Like the wave kept going, and now finally I'm at a point where I'm literally working on a novel. I finished a draft of it. It is trash. But that's what a draft is for, and it's gonna take time. But it was an unexpected career pivot. I never thought this, and I'm excited now that I'm able to return to a place of writing fiction.
You use humor very deliberately in your work. You said it's not for shock value. It's a tool to invite people into conversations they'd otherwise refuse to have. As a craft decision, when you sit down to write about something genuinely taboo, how do you calibrate between the joke and the gravity?
I love writing with humor. This book is, I like to think, quite funny. That's one of the things that people always comment on, and always, all my editors are like, you're funny, write with more humor. It comes to you, so do that. So I'm leaning into that. I'm someone who actually errs on the side of making inappropriate jokes at very serious issues, and I have gotten into trouble for that, but that is the dark humor that I have. And it's not because I'm taking this issue less seriously. That's not the reason why, but it's the way that I cope, it's the way I process, it's the way to be, inviting to have these conversations. At points, I did not hit the mark on this book because a lot of the feedback, there was one chapter in particular where I write about kind of sexual autonomy and my choice to not wear condoms if I don't want to. Obviously, and this is different than I'm not telling a partner, oh, I can't come with a condom. No, I'm not manipulated. I'm not doing this, but I get tested every 6 weeks. I'm on PrEP. I take DoxyPep. I'm very open about my status when I've had unprotected sex. And I believe that that is a sexual autonomy, a choice that we should be allowed to make. And I'm like, as opposed to like, no one wears fucking condoms for giving or receiving head. And yet, and that is something as a society we've decided that's fine. And we can risk oral gonorrhea. And the reason why they do that is the CDC knows that no one's going to fucking do that, so why even bother? And I'm like, well, again, like, I'm so cautious, I'm so honest, this is a choice I'm allowed to make. I wrote about this chapter with a lot of humor. And a lot of the feedback, was specifically among straight women who did not realize that men on Grindr have not used a condom in 15 years since the advent of PrEP, like not once, like ever. So like did not realize that this is part of culture and it is different. But people thought I was, because I was making jokes, so like, oh, I had a review that goes like, Zach's anti-condom cavalier attitude. And I go, what the fuck? I really read the review. It's in Publishers Weekly. Fuck that dude. And I read the chapter immediately afterwards. I'm like, how is that your interpretation? I take this quite seriously. Also, with new partners, I just bring out a fucking condom. I'm not having this conversation. This is with partners I do this with. I'm also vasectomized, so that makes it easier too. But I literally read this again, and I was like, I don't know how you got that interpretation. I take it very seriously. I'm actually getting STI significantly less than other people because I get tested and communicate this. And I genuinely was in shock, but I learned that because this is an issue that makes people uncomfortable, it's an issue that they have such a strong stance on, and you can disagree with me on the stance, then you wear a fucking condom. That's fine. This is my body, and I do believe as long as you're safe and talking to people about this, but people hated that chapter because I wrote about it with a lot of jokes in it, and therefore they thought I wasn't taking it seriously. And I'm like, dude, I actually get tested unlike any straight fucking monogamous dude who lies about getting tested, who never fucking does, who peer pressures the women they sleep with to not wear a condom. I'm not doing any of that, and yet I'm the asshole here. But so I missed the mark on that, and I've learned that there's certain topics that maybe don't have a joke every second because it can be misread. But for the most part, again, I think it does read well. I think it invites people into a conversation. I think it makes potentially challenging, scary topics involving sexual shame, whatever it is, just fun and accessible. And so I always plan to write with humor, and that's really important to me.
You were one of the people when I put my book out there and I got my first negative reviews, you were like, fuck them. Don't look at Goodreads. Like,
oh my God. The best books on Goodreads have a 3.8. The goal is to get a 3.8. If it's 4.7, it's basic, it's annoying, everyone loves it. If it's 2, okay, it's probably a bad book. 3.8, what you want to look for on Goodreads is how many 5 stars versus 1 stars. If it's 5 stars and 1 stars, that is a good read. If it's 3 and 4 stars throughout, no, that means it's a tepid book. But you want polarizing content. I think that's good. That means you're doing something, and you might miss the mark. I missed the mark a little bit on this chapter. I think I could have clarified my stance a little bit more. I think I could have written it with less jokes, but I did the best with what I had. And again, there are people who are like, I loved his book until this chapter and now 1 star. And I'm like, wow, you're really throwing out the baby with the bathwater. Like, even if you disagree with this chapter vehemently, which I'd encourage introspection as to why you feel so triggered, the idea that 1 star, I loved everything else, and because I did not like one aspect of the book, 1 star, people are fucking stupid. Yeah. And they just don't have nuance. That is the truth. They don't have nuance. They like just things in black or white. Not stupid. That's a rude, reductive thing to say. But I think people have very binary thinking. I think people can't see nuance. I think people struggle with that. And I also think my book triggered a lot of people who have not put in the work to do this. And if you see someone else living their life joyously and shamelessly, that could really fucking make you upset.
100%. Yeah, that's what you did. And yeah, like one of my favorite things to do after that was to go and look at like my favorite authors, which like 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is one of them.
That is the only one that has 4.5, and that's an amazing fucking. And that is my sister, by the way.
That's
my
his sister-in-law.
It is my sister-in-law. Is Taylor Jenkins Reid? I don't know if you know who she is. She was the one that encouraged me to be a writer. She actually read the novel that was terrible at 22, and she goes, okay, you have an innate ability to storytell. You've literally not studied writing at all. I think I had a chapter about the protagonist picking his nose for 3 pages. And the goal was for him to be in an office meeting and be like, this is the monotony of life. You can't have 3 pages about picking a nose. And she's like, okay, you need to like learn story structure, but everything that you can do, you can learn it. The innate skills you have. And she was the one that encouraged me to be a writer. I'm very lucky. But everyone loves her. Well, not everyone. There are hate pages
No, that's what
dedicated to her.
I
People
love reading
fucking,
her reviews because I'm like,
how can you dislike this book? This book is iconic and incredible, and she's truly one of my favorite people alive, and I'm very lucky to have her in the family.
Yeah, going back to what we were talking about with community, just to like put a bow on this. So you built the Boy Slut zine, publishing erotica from kinksters worldwide, thrown a 170-person sex party called Boy Slut.
That was so much fun. So much work. Everyone's like, why don't you do this again? I go, I don't think you guys know how much work this was. But it was an epic party. But like, I think once every 5 years I'll throw that party. It was just too much work.
That's when we were just becoming friends, I'm pretty sure.
I think so, yeah.
And attended the 2016 bisexual White House briefing. At what point did you realize you weren't, at what point did you realize you weren't just writing columns anymore, you were building a movement?
I think that's something I still struggle with. And I think a lot of people who are successful in the field still have imposter syndrome. The idea to be like, Zach, you're starting a movement. I'm like, whoa, hold on. Like, I am, but still there's that part of me that can't believe it. One thing that really, always I got nice messages about my work before the book, just from an article, and now the book has been out for almost 3 years. I get 2 to 3 messages a week about how this book changed my life. Still, it's been out for 3 years. And it's amazing. It takes you receiving about 1,000 of those until you start believing it. Yet so easily I get one negative comment and I believe it. I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with my, like, I know what's wrong with my brain. Everyone does this, but like learning that. But I think one of the biggest things I'm like, oh fuck, I've made it. Or I'm help building, not just made it, but like I'm helping to build a community, was I gave a talk at my 10-year college reunion. And so I'm class of 2013. The class of 2016 missed their college reunion, their 5 years because of COVID. So they joined it. And so I give a talk about my book, and it was, it's so frustrating when you've killed a talk and you know you can be this good every time, but then you're not. And I don't know if it was because I left my water bottle at the library, so I had to run a mile beforehand. So I came back sweating, and I feel like that probably helped. But it was so funny because I went to Vassar, and so there are women from like the class of like 68, before it went co-ed, who are like sitting in this talk. The class of 2016 afterwards, like, Zach, we saw you on as one of the speakers. We had no idea you went to Vassar. Can you sign our bi flags? And for some reason, I think it was just being at my alma mater. I really loved Vassar. Still, my best friends are from there. Kind of having this talk where the class of 68 came up to me afterwards, go, I never even thought about this. This was so informative. And it was a raunchy talk, and she loved it. And then just seeing the people of all ages reach out. And I think also in part where it's like, I still see myself as a struggling writer. I'm not. That's not true, and I can get work most places, and I'm lucky for that. I've also been doing this for a while, but like almost they would have to say what I've accomplished in their mouths, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh wait, I did it. Like yeah, I'm still trying to write. Like you were writing for Rolling Stone for forever. I'm like, oh yeah, and I have the columns at Men's Health and Cosmo, and New York Times asked me to write an op-ed once in a while, and I'm happy to do that. And they're like, and I see their faces drop, and I'm like, Zach, you're allowed to be proud of what you've achieved. You're allowed to admit that you're helping people, you're fostering community, you're having an impact on people's lives. But I think it's a balance of, I think it goes straight to your head, and I have a decent ego to begin with, so let's make sure to not do that. But at the same time, it's balancing that, yeah, I have had an impact. I am fostering community. I am whatever that language that they said was, that was very kind. But at the same time, that doesn't mean I'm better than anyone else. That doesn't mean I'm doing, it's like finding that balance between you're allowed to be proud of your work without diminishing other people. And I feel like I finally have reached that point, but it took me a very long time to be proud of the work that I've done.
One of the most powerful ideas in your work is that shame thrives in isolation and community is the antidote. You've written that surrounding yourself with people who don't judge you is how shame loses its power. That's essentially what we're building here at 57. For anyone in this room holding on to something they're ashamed of, creatively, personally, sexually, what's the first step, would you say?
It's a journey. But I think, a part of me is just like, well, just fucking do it. Well, no, that's not helpful advice. And I think it's first, let's look at the root of these fears. And I think really getting to what are you afraid of? Is it scary? Because sometimes the fears are, I get messages from 17-year-old gay boys, and they're like, I really want to come out to my family, but I live in the South, and I'll get kicked out. And I'm like, do not come out. Like, do not come out. Like, you are going to be homeless and kicked out of your family. I'm sorry you have to be closeted. My advice to you is I need you to get straight A's. I need you to get extracurriculars, that you get a full ride to NYU. and you get room and board. So a way of escape, a way of get out, be really fucking good at school and get a full ride anywhere, whatever it is that allows you an opportunity to get out. So when I say unpack your fears, okay, is the fear a matter of actual physical safety, which is with them, at which point, okay, then you can't speak your truth just for the time being. Your focus is, how do I reach a safe place where I'm able to speak my truth? That doesn't relate, I think, to probably 99% of people here. I think it's not a matter of safety. It's a matter of fear of the unknown, right? It's a matter of, hey, if I come out as non-monogamous, as kinky, as this, I want to write about it. Is my family still going to love me? Are my friends still going to love me? And this learning, I think, this idea that like, hey, those people might not, and that's okay. And then you have to work to find a new community, and that's okay. And surround yourself with these sex positive people, with people at 57. But so like, if you're struggling with this, yeah, look at the root, see what that fear is, see if it's something that, okay, if I am in a safe place, let's see if I can write about this, and not being afraid of the loss that will happen, because the loss is so much less than the growth that will happen from you speaking from a place of truth and power, and a place of, fuck, I'm getting rid of people in my life who don't accept me and don't like me. But the flip side is, then you have to work to find the people that do accept you. Because if you just do that and you come out, you do this, you're speaking your truth, and you just lose everything, well, fuck, that's shitty. You're not gonna feel like you got anything. So I think, yeah, working towards making sure you have a community, a safe space, all of the stuff that allows you to then speak your truth, I think is very important.
That was so beautifully said.
Thank you.
Look at you.